jealousy, betrayal. It is our duty to cleanse the universe of this weakness.
You know, they told me you people were conceited douchebags, but that isn't true at all. Dude. I'm using my wrong eye.
How's it going, everybody? Today I'm reviewing the new film, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the sequel to the highly successful and surprising hit, Guardians of the Galaxy, from a few years back. We got the whole team back together. You got Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Baby Groot, and Rocket. They're all back, joined by a couple others with Yondu, Nebula, and our newcomer Mantis joining the team. And also, we get the introduction of, and again, this isn't really a spoiler because you see it in the trailer as well as introduced pretty much in the very beginning of the movie. You get the introduction of Chris Pratt's Star-Lord's father, Ego, played by Kurt Russell, and he comes back into town and reconnects with his son. And I guess that's kind of what the whole movie is about. It's kind of about these relationships. It's hard to kind of explain the plot of the movie, and it's just like the team's back together going on an adventure, and that's kind of what the movie is about. And some might say it's a detriment to the film. I had heard a couple people critique the film and give it kind of more of a negative review, and I was a little concerned slightly going into this one. Like, and Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. It goes like The Dark Knight, and then in any particular order, depending on how I'm feeling that day, Guardians of the Galaxy, Winter Soldier, and then Civil War. So it had high hopes for me, and no matter, someone could have said it's the worst movie of all time, I still would have been excited to see this movie. And coming out of the movie, I can tell you this: I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and it was so much fun. I had a smile on my face from beginning to the end of this movie. It is so funny. The jokes just keep coming and coming. Drax is hilarious in this movie. Baby Groot could have got tiresome, but he did not. Right from the very beginning of the movie, you know what you're in for with Baby Groot. He was great in this movie, and so was all the other characters. And like I said, the movie really hinges on the family dynamic of it, whether it be Chris Pratt's relationship with Yondu, or Chris Pratt's relationship with his actual biological father, Ego, or even the family dynamic between Gamora and Nebula. They're kind of back and forth. And even you get a little bit more insight into how Rocket feels, a little bit. And there's some prizes along the way. Drax, I guess, is the least character developed one. He's more in there for the comic relief and everything, but he knocks it out of the park with the comic relief. There's a couple moments in particular. There's one scene in particular near the end of the movie when they're all gearing up for the last final thing that made me crack up quite a bit. It was so funny. And like I said, this movie is all about these characters, and sure, you could critique it, like the plot isn't the greatest thing in this movie, but again, you're here for the characters, and if I had to nitpick some negatives, I would say that, okay, maybe at the beginning, for the first 45 minutes to an hour, you kind of go from scene to scene to scene to scene, and there's no real connective tissue to bind them all together, but I liked whatever I saw. Another kind of negative is these gold people, the so-called villains of the movie. They're cool-ish. There's some things maybe that they'll do in the sequel with the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that I could be excited for if they go there. But for the most part, they're kind of just there to drive the plot forward, and they're okay. They're okay. I didn't hate them, but again, I didn't love them. But again, those are nitpicks. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And one of the things I like the most is kind of a spoiler, so I will give my score and finish up the video, and if you want to stick around to the end, I can tell you, and if you've seen the movie, I'll tell you about what I really enjoyed about this movie as well. But yeah, overall, like I said, it's just the fun dynamic. I don't think the soundtrack's quite as good as the first movie. There's not enough like rockin' songs, I guess, as you call them there. You had the Chain in there, which was a great one you heard in the trailer. But yeah, like I said, this was so much fun, and I just thoroughly enjoyed myself, and it's up there in one of my favorite movies of the year, because I loved the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was, I knew it couldn't live up to the hype of the first one. The first one was such a big surprise that it would have been tough for this one to match. But it came close for me. It really did. As you can tell by the pop figures behind me, again, I'm a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan. Like I said, you got 2 Baby Groots up there and 1 Angry Groot that I got at the Vancouver Fan Expo thing. And of course, I got the new poster sitting right behind me here. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Thoroughly enjoyed this one, and like I said, if you had heard some of the negative things from a couple people, go watch it for yourself, because this movie, I think if you enjoyed the first one a lot, you will definitely enjoy this one just as much. Also, one last thing, one of the strong points of this movie is the emotional depth that it brings to the movie. By the end of the movie, you feel it. You really do feel the emotional stuff that they're trying to go for, and it works so well in the movie, and it's something that, again, you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't have this first movie. And this movie didn't go bigger in the sense of like explosions and everything like that. It went bigger in the depth of the characters. You kind of got them more developed, and when we're in Volume 3 or Avengers Infinity War, you're going to really know these characters so well and enjoy them in every sense of the world. So with all that said, I give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 a movie rating of an 8.5 out of 10. It's a solid movie, and like I said, there is some negatives in there, but again, they didn't bug me as much, and that's why my enjoyment rating is going to be a 9.5 out of 10. Not quite as good as the first one, but I will watch this one over and over again. I might go back a couple times in the theaters to see this one because I enjoyed it that much. So now I'm just going to head into the spoiler section. Just one spoiler point. Again, if you've seen the movie, you can keep listening and know what I really enjoyed about this movie. I'll give you a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Going in spoiler section, so you've been warned. I really enjoyed what they did with Kurt Russell. I kind of heard that Ego was a villain in the comics and everything like that, but I kind of forgot about that for whatever reason. I was like, oh, I was buying into it. And when he kind of turns evil, not that he turns evil, he was always evil to begin with, and you understand why he is that way. I felt like Kurt Russell was developed enough, and it's a win, I think, for the Marvel villains. I think Kurt Russell is a great villain, and one of the better ones they've had in their movies. Because, again, you got to spend a lot more time with him as opposed to some of the other villains in other Marvel movies. So I really enjoyed that, and when you found out, again, I told you, spoiler warning, when you find out that he's the one who ended up like putting the tumor in Star-Lord's mom's brain, I was like, holy crap, that's crazy. And yeah, I really enjoyed Kurt Russell. That's the one thing I wanted to tell you about, and I think it solved the villain problem for Marvel once and for all, hopefully, at least with this movie, and we'll see how they do going forward with the whole Thanos thing, because hopefully he's as menacing as he can be. So anyways, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more videos each and every week. That is it, and I will talk to you all later.